My Lords, I'd like to join in with the tributes to Her Majesty Queen Elizabeth for the extraordinary reign that we've observed and which we pay tribute for today. Like many of the noble lords, I too have got my anecdotes. I remember going up to stay in Sandringham for the weekend, and I'd expressed interest coming from a farming background about her racehorses, and she was very keen to show me them. And so I was summoned down outside. There was a Range Rover there, and she came out very brusquely and shouted across to me, "Jump in, Bishop, I'm driving." And she set off at a rate of knots. I was holding on for dear life. She taught me a great deal about prayer at that particular point, which is perhaps why she's called the Defender of the Faith. I want to just briefly draw your attention to one other thing about Her Majesty, which I think is really significant. Some people have said, why has she had such an impact? One of the features of many of those who are in leadership for a long time is there's a tendency, the longer you're in leadership, the less you really listen. And what struck me about Her Majesty the Queen was she was someone who really listened. And I'm not saying did it superficially. So the first significant time I met her was when I'd paid homage, and afterwards we had a conversation. She immediately wanted to ask me my views on various aspects of the history and the industry and the background of Bedfordshire and Hertfordshire, and in an informed way showed she absolutely knew what was going on. But what did I think about it? What did I think was happening? And then later on, at a later stage, when I was staying at Sandringham, and you have that odd moment where you're sitting around with other guests and so on, and Her Majesty had come down, and she was playing cards, playing patience. And I remember thinking, well, do I just wander across and have a chat with her? I thought, well, I'm not going to get invited again, I don't suppose, so let's go for it. So I went across, and I said, may I join you? She said, please do, as she was playing cards. But what she wanted to know, it was just after Christmas, she wanted to know what I'd thought about her Christmas message. She wanted to know how people had heard it and whether it had been able to speak and communicate with people. And that caught me totally by surprise, that was what she was interested in. But she was so concerned that not only was she, if you like, on transmit mode, but was she engaging with people of different groups? And she wanted to ask, had I spoken to people in various places to hear what they'd thought about it? I was able to assure her that people had been very grateful for the words that she'd expressed. And I think that quality of attentive listening is one of the reasons why so many people relate to her as a person. It's a wonderful gift, and to be able to do that at the end of a reign of 70 years. To finish, I just want to comment on the one picture, which I think it was Lord Newby mentioned, and that is there's been a number of, I think, what people today call iconic photographs. But that picture of her, I think it's the last photograph we have, of her standing with such fragility and frailty. In a world where we're being presented endlessly that the only style of leadership is that which is bold and aggressive and so on, she was showing us that actually there are other sorts of leadership which can come from humanity, which can come from fragility. And that picture of her leaning on her stick, stooped over, with a hand outstretched, will stay with me as a picture of welcome and warmth. For that, I give thanks to God, I give thanks to her life, and along with many other members of this house, I say, may she rest in peace and rise in glory. Amen.